I'm Alice. I am a nutritional therapist and I specialise in thyroid health. And I typically work with women, tired women and women that have, a lot of those telltale hypothyroid symptoms. And through lots of little tweaks to their diet and their lifestyle, I can help the body to heal and help them get more energy and have less of those symptoms and just feel great and feel more like themselves again. So that's me. Today I'm going to talk about zinc and the thyroid, which are so inextricably linked, and really important that we consider our zinc intake and how much zinc we're getting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about why it's important when it comes to the thyroid, and then I'm going to be talking about how we can test, and then the foods where you can get it, and what next steps you can take. So zinc is needed for the thyroid hormone receptors in our cells to be active. So if there's a deficiency, then basically they won't be so active, which means that we'll get more of those thyroid symptoms. So it doesn't, this part actually doesn't have very much to do with, how much thyroid hormone or how we're getting our thyroid hormone. So whether you're making it yourself with your thyroid or whether you're getting, thyroid replacement hormone like levothyroxine, you still need an adequate amount of zinc in order for the thyroid hormone receptors to be active. How else? So the next thing is zinc is a really important regulator of thyroid hormone. It's also involved in the making of thyroid hormone, and it has a lot of influence over the blood levels of TSH and of T3 and of T4. So there's another element though, which makes us question whether perhaps whether hypothyroidism is making us zinc deficient, or being zinc deficient could be affecting us being hypothyroid. And that is that zinc absorption is not going to be as effective when we have hypothyroidism. This has been shown in animal studies, not in human studies as yet, but it would follow, because generally if you're hypothyroid, you have your digestion is not as effective. It would follow that perhaps you're not going to be absorbing as much zinc as someone who doesn't have hypothyroidism. Whatever the case, we need to make sure that we're getting enough. So testing zinc is fairly easy actually. Doing it with blood test is not that effective. You can test your do hair mineral tests, which are quite good and quite accurate. But my favourite thing that I do in clinic quite a lot is with a product called Zinca Test by Lambert's, who basically you do kind of a taste test, and you, before you've drunk anything in the morning, you have a little bit diluted, I believe, of the Zinc Test, and you swirl it around in your mouth, and if you, depending on how soon you taste the zinc, this is how much zinc you have in your body. So it's not an exact science, but it can really, really be helpful, and it's very cheap to do, and so you can repeat it whenever you need to. So onto foods. Now, zinc is in a huge range of foods. So I'm just going to be picking out a few where it's particularly high. So seeds, in particular pumpkin seeds, are really high in zinc. So if you don't have any seeds in your diet, I would really urge you to get some. You don't have to just have them plain. You can sprinkle them on stir fries, on salads, in porridge, on other breakfast cereal. You can also make bread with them in. There are so many ways to get them in. Also, if you find them a little plain tasting, you can kind of put a bit of tamari, the gluten-free soy sauce, and put them in the oven for a bit so they're a little bit crunchier. Also then, animal foods are really good places generally, to animal sources to get zinc. So beef and lamb are the top ones. They have a lot more zinc than chicken. Oysters have loads, but who has oysters every day? And prawns are pretty good as well. Then onto pulses, chickpeas and lentils are very good, and vegetables, things like spinach, asparagus, But just be wary of the plant-based ones. These have kind of anti-nutrients in them, so which can mean that absorption doesn't happen so well. So you may need to have more of them. You will need to have more of them. It's easier to get zinc from animal sources generally. And then, of course, it's very important to make sure, as I mentioned earlier, that you are breaking down and absorbing your nutrients well. So if you're someone who has gut symptoms, then that's a sign that maybe your digestion isn't as effective as it could be. So this is maybe something that you'd like to look at with somebody, you know, and work a little bit on your digestion and improving absorption. And of course, you can take a supplement. I wouldn't recommend this long term because it can upset your zinc copper ratio, but certainly you can buy a tub of 15 milligrams or 30 milligrams and do that if you think that your zinc is low. The Zinca Test that I mentioned, you can actually use as a supplement if you find your zinc is low, but it is a liquid. Some people prefer capsules. So what else do we need zinc for in the body? We need immunity. Need it for immunity, reproduction, incredibly important. Skin health, incredibly important. I mean, everything's really important. Vision. And also studies have shown repeatedly that if you take a zinc supplement when you're suffering from a cold, then it's likely to reduce the length of that cold. So there you go, that shows how important it is for immunity. And zinc deficiencies can be associated with acne, with hair loss, poor immunity, depression, skin issues like dermatitis, low sperm count, poor vision, poor concentration and memory, which can be a big thyroid problem symptom, and slow healing. So these all equate with how I was talking about the importance of zinc in the body with immunity, skin health, vision, reproduction. So what to do next? Well, if you think you might be low in zinc, I would first of all advise you to assess your diet and have a look, maybe Google zinc rich foods and see, am I getting these on a daily basis? You could also consider doing a hair mineral test or the Zinca test that I was talking about, and then increase your foods as necessary and then retest, or see how your symptoms are as well. That's a really helpful marker. So I hope that's been helpful. Thanks so much for watching, and see you soon.